So how long does it take to donate eggs? Well, egg donation is all about timing and all about getting the right timing. It's science, yeah. So how long does it take? 20 minutes. About 20 minutes. But is that how long it really takes? Stick around to find out. Hello, I'm Corlandos Scott, and I'm an egg donor attorney in Los Angeles, and my practice revolves around assisted reproductive technologies like egg donation and sperm donation and surrogacy and all that good stuff. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how long it takes to donate eggs. We're going to look at the egg bank or clinic protocol. We'll look at the agency process also, and we'll look at what I call the life process. Let's jump into it. So 20 minutes? Is that what you say, Corlandos? Well, that's about how long you take to watch an episode of Friends or, I don't know, run a mile or work on your abs or take a power nap or even update your iPhone. Well, not update your iPhone because sometimes my phone be tripping and it takes a long time. And I'm like, are you going to update already? Come on. But is it really just 20 minutes? Well, 20 minutes is how long it takes to retrieve the eggs during the retrieval process. Yeah, that's 20 minutes. But back up. The actual process, the entire process from the moment you decide and want to donate your eggs or receive donated eggs to actually doing the donation, going through the retrieval process, it could take 36 to 37 days or even over a month or even longer. So let's look at the clinic or egg bank process. Now, when you raise your hand and say, I want to be an egg donor, and you say, let's do it with a fertility clinic or an egg bank, there's usually about 3 screening phases that you need to go through. Phase 1 is the application process. So you're going to fill out some forms, you're going to provide information about yourself, your family, your medical history, your family's medical history, your lifestyle, your travels, and everything else that might seem important and related. Then we get to phase 2. That's the physical examination part. Phase 2 is when they start poking needles and getting blood and lab work and all that kind of stuff. And it also will include a psychological evaluation. Now, phase 3, this is the final interview before acceptance. Now, and if everything goes well, you get a final interview. No, not a job interview, but another medical interview. And these doctors are relentless. They want to make sure that you are a good fit because it really comes down to science, not whether you're a good person or a bad person, but they want to make sure that you're medically fit to give a family or a potential parent the best shot at growing their family. And let's be honest, that's a good thing because, people pay doctors to give them the best shot at growing their family. So we want to make sure they're doing things right. So that's how long it takes when you donate to an egg bank or a clinic, and that's how that process works. But what about when you go through an agency? Donating through an agency requires a much longer process. Why is that? Because with an agency, you're looking to get matched with an intended parent or parents, and time is always of the essence. Now, this process can take a little less than a month depending on your cycle and if all the medical screenings have already been done. So that could be several months or several years before you're matched. Or it could never happen at all. Honestly, I have friends who have decided they wanted to be donors and they got on lists with donor agencies, and that was maybe a year or 2 ago and they still haven't been called with a match. Now, a match gets dissolved, canceled, or terminated, and that depends on a lot of factors. So you could even enter into a match, and for some reason the match gets canceled. Maybe your body didn't respond to the medications well. Maybe the parents decided to go a different route. Maybe they got fortunate and were able to get pregnant on their own between getting matched and getting into the process. It could be a number of factors that have nothing to do with you as a person or as an egg donor. Now, the nice thing about going through an agency is that if the initial match falls through the cracks, then you still have a chance of getting rematched with another parent or set of parents. So it's like they say, there's a roster of people with the agency, and you simply work with whoever comes through the door if you decide to match together. Once that match is over, you can go back on the roster and either match again or decide that you've had enough and you've done your duty or your good deed of helping someone grow their family. But let's take a look at the agency process. Phase 1 of the agency process is the application phase. Almost the same questions and information that are required by the egg banks and the fertility clinics. And next comes phase 2, the medical screening process. Now, this is pretty much the exact same process that you would have gone through if you were donating to an egg bank or a clinic, because they're going to ask you the same questions and you're going to go through the same medical physical screening process. Now comes phase 3 and the potentially long part of the process, and that's the matching process. Donors and intended parents are matched based on qualifications that sometimes are requested by the parents or at the earliest availability of an egg donor if the intended parents are trying to match the cycle with their own timetable. So we never really know. I've had intended parents ask to be matched with very, 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 very specific candidates, even down to hair color and eye color and how well she scored on standardized tests throughout her entire life. And then I've had parents that said, I just want a donor. I'm ready to grow my family. I don't want to wait any longer. I want a healthy donor, and I'm not concerned with race, with ethnicity, with height, with any of that stuff. As long as she's healthy and she's passed the screening processes, I'm ready to go. So it really depends and it varies from individual parent to individual parent. Now, phase 4 in the agency process is the legal process, the contract negotiation, drafting, and signing. With the egg donor and parent being matched individually by an agency, there needs to be a contract between each of those parties, the parents and the egg donor. And so before a doctor will proceed with extracting or retrieving eggs from a donor's body and transferring them to the mother or to a surrogate, he has or she has to know that there is a written contract in place that they agree for this to happen. So that's a part of the process you can't get over when you're working through an agency. Then comes phase 5. After the legal process, we get down to retrieval. And we're finally back down to our 20-minute timeline. That's the 20 minutes that you'll spend actually under the needle, so to speak. This is when you'll go into the clinic and be prepped and ready to go through the retrieval or aspiration process. And again, the actual procedure itself takes around 20 to 30 minutes, and it's usually an in and out process. But it's all the preparation that leads up to that 20 minutes that we just went through. So we've looked at the egg bank or fertility clinic process. We've looked at the agency process, but I want to talk about the life process, as I call it. Before I do though, if you like this video, well, tell me, like it, actually like it by clicking the button that says like, or at least it has a thumbs up. So go ahead, click that button, hit the subscribe button, and even go ahead and click on that bell right beside the subscribe button so you know whenever I release a new video. You know, you don't want to be left out, and I don't want to leave you out. No egg donor left behind. All right, let's talk about the life process, as I call it. And what I mean by that is you spend your entire life becoming the person you are today. And that all really factors into whether or not you will be qualified to be a donor. You know, there's certain things that you can do in your lifestyle that could affect whether or not you're able to donate. For instance, there's a 1-year prep process, you can call it, that will affect whether you can be a donor. And that's whether you're donating with a fertility clinic or you're going through the agency. There's still some unwritten requirements that even look back a year in your past. The preparation I'm referring to here is about staying healthy. You need to be, for instance, drug-free, alcohol-free, and you need to be this way for at least about a year leading up to your egg donation. Now, and that's also among other things. Anything that it takes a year to medically clear your body, you want to make sure that you've had that time for that thing to clear. One last thing I want you to know is that tattoos are cool, but that's one of those things. Yeah. If you plan on becoming a donor, you don't need to have received a tattoo within the last year before donating your eggs. Why is that? Because it involves needles and the breaking of skin and the potential risk of introducing infections into your bloodstream that could potentially make its way and be transferred through your eggs and through your donation. And nobody wants to go through the process, both financially and emotionally, of going through the donor process and then find out that the eggs are contaminated with some type of infection simply because of a tattoo or a shot or anything like that. We can't risk you being poked and prodded. That's just not cool. Egg donation, I would say, is probably the longest 20 minutes you'll ever spend in your life, but it's the 20 minutes, I think, that changes lives for the better forever. If you're interested in learning more about assisted reproduction in general, and if you're particularly interested in learning more about surrogacy, let me give you something that'll help you along your way. I call it the 3 T's to successful surrogacy, and you can click the link in the description to get it. It's a free training of mine that shows you my philosophy behind how to have a successful surrogacy process, and it's free. Go ahead, click it, get it, and I'll see you in the next episode.